Okay, good morning 3 at 6. We are the group 2 by De Villeres, Dumlao, Ricodon, Sesdoiro, and Tolentino. Our discussion is about biodiversity. I know na-discuss na ata to ng group 1, pero anyways, we're here to discuss it again. Ano ba muna yung biodiversity? Ito yung assortment of different forms of life on Earth, counting the distinctive plants, creatures, microorganisms, the genes they contain, and the environment they form. Lahat ng forms of life na malaki man yan o maliit, kasama yan sa biodiversity. So, yun nga, yung 5 organisms na kasama na i-discuss namin is bees. I know bees is like, pag narinig nyo yun, di ba, parang ang crucial. Baka ma-sting kayo or baka makagat kayo kung nangangagat man sila. Pero, alam nyo ba na bees ay isa siya sa mga huge role sa ating biodiversity, sa ating ecosystem. Because they support the development of trees, flowers, and other plants, which serves as nourishment and shelter for animals, huge and small. Okay, nectar and pollen that are flowering the plants are bees' only food source. The sweet nectar drink gives adult bees energy. Pollen is protein-rich baby food. So that's true na ang pagkain nila, ang food source nila ay yung nectar and pollen from the flowers. So ang tanong dito ay, bakit naging helpful yung bees sa plants kung kinakain lang naman nila is yung nectar and pollen? Okay, nagiging helpful sila kasi yung bees, pag dumidikit sa kanila yung mga nectar or pollen, nagsispread yun kapag lumilipad sila. Parang sila yung source of transportation ng pollen to another flower para mag-grow din efficiently yung mga ibang plants. And alam nyo ba na big help sila sa almonds and vanilla kasi sila yung plant na mas need ng pollination. And vanilla came from orchids. And don't worry kung tatakot kayo sa bees kasi they will only sting you if they feel parang nasa danger sila. And kapag feeling nila parang siguro sasaktan sila, instinct nila. Pero, alam nyo ba na kapag inisting ka ng bee, pag umalis sila sa skin mo, di ba syempre didikit yun sa skin mo para masting ka. Kapag lumipad yun, hindi siya tatagal. I mean, mamamatay siya agad. Kasi, yung sting niya, dumidikit sa balat natin. And kaya sila namamatay kasi naiiwan yung sting nila sa balat natin. Tapos, naiiwan din doon yung parang stomach nila ata or parang intestine. So, hindi sila tatagal. Kaya kapag yung sting ka, mamamatay yung bee. Okay, bakit ba important ang pollen? Kasi pollen contains many vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, making it incredibly healthy. It is natural fertilizer to other plants of the same species. Bees are part of the backbone that creates Philippine biological system, not as it was profitable to strengthen food security, but also tough to external threats. Okay, so I'm gonna insert picture here kung ano bang itsura ng grocery. Bees versus without bees. So, picture pa lang, di ba? Ang laki na ng difference. Bakit siya malaking role sa atin dito sa ecosystem, yung mga bees. Kasi, tignan nyo, sa food security pa lang natin, ang dami na nilang nagagawa. Crops, fertilizers, see? Yun. Ganyan ang bees. Insectivorous. Correct me if I'm wrong kung tama yung pronunciation ko or something. But they feast on insects each night, adding up to more than $3.7 billion worth of pest control each year in the US. Okay. When bats are around to eat insects, There are fewer insects, pests causing damage to crops, and farmers don't have to invest as much in pesticides. Hindi na kailangan ng farmers mag-invest pa ng $3.7 billion each year. Each year yon. Kung walang bats, imagine kung gaano sila kagastos, kung gaano sila mag-i-invest ng ganung taas na presyo para lang sa what do you call this? Insectivorous thingy. So, dun pa lang, sobrang laking helpful na ng bats, you know? Okay. This creates a worldwide domino effects and it amplifies the benefits of bats as natural pest control. Aside from this, they also help pollinate various plant species while feeding with more than 500 species of produce like mangoes. This promotes. Okay, so our third organism is coral reefs, nicknamed as rainforest of the seas. Disease. Coral reefs are said to be home to 1 million marine species around the world. So coral reefs are very productive ecosystem. They are not only supporting biodiversity, they are also of immense value to humankind. So on a single reef, one can observe thousands of species living there. In addition to the million species that already inhabit them, it is also an important ecosystem for the people living in the coasts, as it is the first line of defense that protects them from strong tropical storms. And it is also some of the main income and source of food of the people surrounding it. But I wonder also kung ano ba yung important role nila sa ecosystem. Bakit siya kailangan? So here, sharks are considered as one of the apex predator in the ocean, but also have an important role in the marine ecosystem. They keep the marine life balance and they regulate the ocean. They maintain the species below them in the food chain and serving as indicator for ocean health. They help remove the weak and the sick as well as keeping the balance with competitors, helping to ensure species diversity. Okay, so according to the article written by Phil High, 2018, 100 million sharks are being killed annually all over the world. Killing of sharks has a massive effect and impact of the ecosystem because sharks limit the population of their prey that eats smaller fishes and other sea creatures. And if sharks go extinct, it could lead to the extinction of marine species. So, the decreasing population of sharks strengthens not only the marine life, but also life support system. Because the ocean is one of the Earth's most important ecosystem, because it is where most of the Earth oxygen comes from. If humans keep being careless and don't value the lives of the sharks, it will have serious consequences and impact of the ecosystem. Yeah. And for our last organism is earthworms. Earthworms represent the largest components of the animal biomass and are commonly termed ecosystem engineers. Increasing the amount of air and water that gets into the soil, they break down organic matter like leaves and grass into things that plants can use. When they eat, they leave behind castings that are very valuable to type of fertilizers. So earthworms are like the free farm help. Their activity in the soil, earthworms offer many benefits like increased nutrient availability, better drainage, and a more stable soil structure. So all of which help improve farm productivity. Worms feed on plant debris like dead roots, leaves, grasses, manure, and soil. It's also the juicy bodies themselves. The species are gobbled up by birds and even badgers. So without earthworms in our soils, life could vanish pretty quickly. We would have less food, more pollution, and more flooding. So that's all.
The following are the laws and orders that benefit the preservation of the Philippines. Act number 2590, an act for the protection of game and fish. It's to protect fish and game from indiscriminate hunting. RA 8550, the Philippine Fisheries Code of 1998, to improve the productivity of the country's fisheries sector and provide conservation and protection to aquatic resources. RA 7308, an act to promote and develop the seed industry in the Philippines and create a national seed industry council and for other purposes. RA 8371, recognizing the rights of indigenous cultural communities or indigenous people. It's to recognize and promote all the rights of indigenous cultural communities. RA 9147, Wildlife Protection Act, to conserve the country's wildlife resources and their habitats for sustainability. RA 7611, Strategic Environmental Plan for Palawan Act. It's to protect, develop, and conserve its natural resources by assisting and supporting the implementation of plans, programs, and projects formulated to preserve and enhance the environment. RA 7900, High Value Crops Development Act of 1995. It's to promote the production, processing, marketing, and distribution of high-value crops. RA 7942, Philippine Mining Code, to promote rational exploration, development, utilization, and conservation through the combined efforts of government and private sector. PD 1433, Plant Quarantine Decree of 1978. It's to protect the agricultural industries of the Philippine Islands from injurious plant pests and diseases existing in foreign countries. PD 1586, Environmental Impact Statement System Law. It's to attain and maintain a rational and orderly balance between socio-economic growth and environmental EO 263, adopting community-based forest management as the national strategy. It's to ensure the sustainable development of the country's forest land resources and providing mechanisms for its implementation. EO 192, reorganization of the DNR to ensure the sustainable use, development, management, renewal, and conservation of the country's forests, mineral, land, offshore areas, and other natural resources. Proclamation Number 926, establishing Subic's Watershed Forest Reserve, is for the purposes of protecting, maintaining, improving its water yield, and providing restraining mechanisms for inappropriate forest exploitation and disruptive land use.
These are the top results for the organizations that have and had conservation efforts towards the organisms we chose. So for bat conservation, we have Bat Conservation International. Their mission is to conserve the world's bats and their ecosystems to ensure a healthy planet. So for the bees, we have Busy Bees for Public Service by the UPLB program. Their goal is to conduct intensive beekeeping course 4 times a year. It also provides training and management of tropical bees as well as in product development. The research extension services is proof of how far they have come. For corals, we have the Coral Triangle Center. CTC moves into our second decade of operation. They are building projects, programs, and amplifying their impact across the region. For marine wildlife, we have Marine Wildlife Watch of the Philippines, known as MWWP. They have worked on various talks, researches, workshops, and publications on marine wildlife conservation in the Philippines. They are on pursuit for raising awareness among Filipinos on the conservation and protection of marine wildlife. For Earthworm, we have Earthworm.org. Earthworm Foundation is a non-profit organization built on values, driven by the desire to positively impact the relationship between people and nature.
Ecosystem approach focuses on resolving ecosystem problems by using scientific reasoning. Its main focus is to protect and conserve the environment and also its inhabitant from potential harm. Species approach, on the other hand, is a conservation practice focused on the species level. Its main focus is to conserve and protect species or group of species with common needs by giving them legal protection, preserving the habitats, and etc. Most of the laws listed in number 2 use ecosystem approach because most of them are about protecting the ecosystem and the homes of the animal rather than any specific animals or species. For example, Republic Act 8550, the Philippine Fishery Code of 1998, is a law that requires to maintain and protect the country's aquatic resources. The law focuses on a bigger environmental issue rather than focusing on one particular aquatic animal or endangered species. In short, ecosystem approach makes it possible to support individual species like in the species approach by supporting habitat or ecosystem services necessary to the species survival. It focuses on preserving entire ecosystem rather than particular animal or species. Basically, species approach is almost the same with ecosystem approach, but it is called toward individual and group species regarding their need.
The Philippines has one of the richest biodiversity in the world, containing about two-thirds of the biodiversity of the Earth and 70% of the Earth's plants and animals to its diverse habitats and isolated geography. However, it is still mutual to the common practices of the world that harms the environment and organisms that it holds. A perfect example of this are the rich coral reefs in the Philippines, wherein the people use destructive ways of fishing techniques and slowly etch and destroy the coral reefs, such as the muroami, a fishing technique wherein you pound on the reefs to catch the fleeing fishes. Together with climate change, unsustainable practices, coastal development, agriculture, and the mistreatment from the industrial waters have all been slowly degrading on our reefs and the marine life surrounding it. Bats, sharks, bees, earthworms, and other organisms also share the same problems in terms of habitat destruction, overexploitation, over-harvesting, climate change, industrial agricultural practices, etc. If common practices around the world continue, sooner or later, our rich biodiversity will dwindle to the point of non-existence. While all, while all these give us plenty of benefits, we must control ourselves to only take what we need for ourselves and reserve some for the future generation that will follow suit. Thank you.